So Stephanie Bishop is talking in the room, and I had to come in. I wanted to know what she was saying.
You're the best. I miss you.
How have you been? I've missed you too.
Good. It's a busy week, but it's been great.
I'm sure you've had a couple of busy weeks.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Hey. Moving next week, and Adriana is coming up to stay with me for 5 weeks starting next week.
No.
Yep.
Oh my
She's
God,
helping me
that's
move into a
exciting.
new apartment. We're starting out the new apartment together. She's going to be on the lease even.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's awesome, Lee.
It's big.
I'm so happy for you.
Okay. I need to make you a moderator and make me a moderator and invite Tamra up and Bill up. Carolyn, you're invited up too. Come on up and Oh, March 1st. Well, Carolyn, you're relatively new. Hi, how are you? It's so nice to meet you. My name's Lee.
Hi.
Welcome, Carolyn.
I know you're relatively new.
First the purple book, and then
I
this
did.
year was when we introduced
This year we're
for the
doing
lessons.
a mixture of them. Yeah, and so I'm bringing that up specifically today because in the last several days I've been reading for both of them, and it's kind of hard to tell sometimes which one's coming from which. I do have references to both of them at the link that we'll put at the top of the room, but just to try and make it super clear, today we're going to read from A Course in Miracles Workbook for Dummies. It's almost the same text as the blue book or any of the purple books, so it's not like you're really missing anything if you've got any edition of the book and you feel like reading along. Do you have an edition of the book? Carolyn? If you're talking, you're on mute.
Well, I don't know if she can come in right now, but I have seen her in our previous lessons, so she's not. This is not her first time here.
Nope, she joined us on the 1st of March. Yep, and so I was just kind of backtracking a moment or two. Well, why don't we get into the lesson?
That was a good day.
Oh, come back, Carolyn. I saw you flash. Sometimes you get caught up.
March 1st was a very good day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What happened in March 1st?
I was born.
That was his birthday.
That is such a nice day. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lee, there is a review too and an introduction.
Yeah, I was going to read that and then let you read the lesson. Would you rather read it out of there?
Yeah, I would prefer it. If you
out
have
of what? I got everything, man. Just tell me what you want, baby.
Review 2. It's on page 1093 of the purple book.
Yep. Tom's got the same exact introduction with no changes to it. It's the same thing. Because in the review part, there's no notes on his review. It's the same thing. I was going to read this and then ask you to read the lesson. Is that okay? Sure. Or would you prefer to read this part? Doesn't matter to me.
I'll read this one. It's okay.
Okay,
I'll read.
For it.
Okay, this will be Review 2, Introduction. We are ready now for another review. We will begin where our last review left off, and we'll cover 2 ideas each day. The earlier part of the day will be devoted to one of these ideas, and the latter part of the day to the other. We will have one longer exercise period and frequent shorter ones, frequent shorter ones in which we will practice each of them. The longer practice periods will follow this general form, Take about 15 minutes for each of them and begin by thinking about the idea and the comments which are included in the assignments. Devote about 2 or 3 minutes to reading them over slowly, several times if you wish, and then close your eyes and listen. Repeat the first phrase if you find your mind wandering, but try to spend the major part of the practice period listening quietly but attentively. There is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. Realize that whatever form they take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your own determination to succeed. Do not forget that your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all. Regard these practice periods as dedications to the way, the truth, and the life. Refuse to be sidetracked into detours, illusions, and thoughts of death and rabbit holes. You are dedicated to salvation. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. Reaffirm your determination in the shorter practice periods as well, using the original form of the idea for general application and a more specific form when needed. Specific forms will be included in the comments. These, however, are merely suggestions. It is not the particular words you use that matter. Okay. Back to you, Lee.
Thanks, Papa. I guess I kind of figured that you'd want to read the footnotes if you were going to read this one. Do you feel like it?
Well, we can, sure. Having one longer practice period for each idea amounts to 2 longer practice periods per day. Whoops.
Sorry. I thought you were looking at the other spot. I was just trying to figure out where it was coming from. Okay, all good.
That's 128.
Yeah.
This is made especially clear in the next sentence, which instructs us to begin each longer practice period by thinking about the idea singular, the idea. In other words, we devote the first practice period to the first idea and the second practice period to the second idea. And then it goes on, there's a quote from John. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. In the Course's allusion to this, the way, the truth, and the life represents salvation in general. Sentence 3 says, you are dedicated to salvation rather than Jesus in particular. Another note says, the trio in this sentence, the way, the truth, and the life, I think that's the one that was in that particular note. No. In that note, refuse to be sidetracked into detours, illusions, and thoughts of death. That was the trio. And the note about that is, get it right, okay. The trio in this sentence is designed to be the opposite of the trio in the previous sentence. Detours are the opposite of the way. Illusions are the opposite of truth. And death is the opposite of life. From the way, the truth, and the life. That's cool. Okay, and another note, specific forms to be used when needed, when upsets occur, in other words, are the three italicized statements underneath the paragraph of commentary for each idea. That's why most of the statements include this, the situation or event we are upset about, or name the person we are upset about. And when we name the person we are upset about, I'm sorry, this sounds probably more confusing than not, but I'll just finish reading it. This practice of responding to upsets with the idea for the day or a related thought is called response to temptation elsewhere in the workbook and text. So these are general notes that the editor of the Purple Book has put in to help us do the reviews in this way. Thank you, Lee.
No problem. I was just kind of looking through both books and looking for where kind of the most meat is for everything that we could find. And today we've got a nice, short, focused lesson. The key thing, though, is for us to kind of seat this learning in and get our day started in the right way. And because the lesson's asking for us really to focus on one idea at a time, these are the two main ideas we're going to talk about. And I'm going to try and work in the meditation so that we can kind of experience at least a little bit of both. But today, more than any other day, you may want to come back and put focus on the second lesson later on in the day. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Although, as you'll see, they really are nested together in a natural way. So lesson 81, lesson summary 61 and 62. Guess who forgot to start the Facebook stream a little bit late? This guy. Sorry to all the Facebook people who are joining me now, but I definitely have all the rest of it on YouTube. I'll post that in there, and here we are with lesson 81. Sorry about that, guys. Lesson summary 61 to 62. Our ideas for review today are lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Lesson 62, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Workbook 81.1, review of lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Too hard to read. How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world? Let me be still before my holiness. In my holy, calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In my holy peace, let me remember who I am. I am God's beloved child, with whom God is well pleased. If you've got your own book and you're following along, at this point I'm reading out of A Course in Miracles Workbook for Dummies. And we had read the other part from the Circle of Atonement edition. So if you're following along in your book, and your last sentence didn't have, I am God's beloved child with whom God is well pleased, it's because Tom has added this in the Workbook for Dummies part, which was really, really helpful to me. I appreciate the name of the book because it included me into my level of really getting this book. But just to be clear what's coming from what. Okay, the second paragraph, some specific forms of applying this idea that I'm the light of the world when special difficulties seem to arise might be, let my ego not obscure the light of the world in me. Let the light of the world shine through this appearance. This shadow will vanish before the light. All right, so that's the application of lesson 61. The second half of it is lesson 62. I'm going to bring this back together in a way that I think will work. So lesson 62, this is the one again they suggest we would focus on later on in the day. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It's through accepting my function of forgiveness that I see the light in me. And this light in me will help my function of forgiveness stand clearly and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance of my function does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see forgiveness as forgiveness is. Specific forms for using this idea that forgiveness is my function as the light of the world might include: let this help me learn what forgiveness means. Let me not separate my function of forgiveness from my will. I will not use this for an alien egoic purpose. All right, let's take a minute to relax into whatever surface is connecting you to the ground, or the floor, or the seat beneath you. Let's try and remember that we're a spirit made of energy, can be seen as light, and that energy connects to the energy of our planet and to all the rest of the living beings around you. This fabric of life, it's fully encompassing the outer crust of this ball we're sitting on. That web of life that keeps us all connected. That is something that I'd like you to focus on as, if you don't mind, Stephanie, you lead us in a little bit of breath work, and then I'll read through the lesson. We'll get our first lesson of the day really well seated, and then I'll let us kind of naturally have a moment, and then I'll do one for the second lesson so that later on, if you feel like coming back and focusing on that later on in the day, you can. But no matter what, we're getting one in that covers all of our bases, okay?
Thank you, Lee. I invite everyone, wherever you are, if you can, to place your hand, one hand on your stomach and one hand on your chest. And I invite you to become aware of your body breathing, the slight movement of your hand on your stomach and your hand on your chest as you breathe. Just becoming aware of your breath. Become aware as you exhale how your hands move. And on your next inhale, I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe into your stomach, nice and slow, and fill all the way up with control. Maybe hold it for a second and slowly exhale. Bring your belly button towards your spine to get all the air out. And one more deep breath. Really try and move your hands, fill up all the way. As you exhale, envision your breath going right into the ground, right into Mother Nature, down your spine. I invite you to release back to your normal breathing. Release your hands. For this meditation, place your hands down if you want to feel grounded, facing down, and facing up if you want to feel inspired. Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Steph. I have really gotten an appreciation for connection to my body in the last couple of months. That was a great way to kind of get me back in touch. I appreciate that. So, today, just to remind you, it all is encompassing in light. We use the term light metaphorically here to represent energy, to represent God, to represent love, and those three concepts could be the trinity of thinking of God as an omnipotent, non-person to try and get us outside of our own personalities long enough to reconnect with our source. Today, it may help just to remember that inside you there's a light. And it was talked about in the Bible and continued to talk about here and used in a lot of ways to represent the best parts of us, the best part of you. The best part of you is the light of the world. So today, remember that's your function. That is how you light up the world. Try and find a moment to be still before that idea, so that in your holy light all conflicts disappear. In your holy peace, remember the part of God that is inside of you. It makes you God's beloved child eternally, with whom God is well pleased. It is the part of you that was here before and after the token piece you're pushing around this game board we call life expires and returns. So today, if something trips you up, and it could be everything and anything, try and remember to let your ego not obscure the light of the world that you show. Respond with love. Let the light of the world shine through you. Every shadow vanishes when you are the light. The sun does not see a shadow. You only see a shadow if you are not part of the sun. That's why the moon goes through phases. Lesson 62 is forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And this clarifies what we talked about in the morning. This clarifies us being the light of the world and focuses it in the direction of forgiveness. Later on, we'll focus that even further on grievances as a way to know what we're forgiving. But for today, it's important to remember that the light helps us find forgiveness. Forgiveness can often be like a jigsaw puzzle. To find a way through a painful experience so that you can move forward. And some of these jigsaw puzzles have 4 pieces, some of them have 1,000. But all of them are just about impossible to solve in the dark. Our eyes help so much with jigsaw puzzles. Even a 4-piece jigsaw puzzle. So let's bring our troubles into the light, where we can find the solution. Let's not look where there is no solution in the darkness. Bring the light of yourself to the problem, and the solution will be obvious. Today, through accepting my function of forgiveness, that will help me see the light in me. This light in me will fulfill my function of forgiveness. The clarity you get, just like the clarity the sun gets with no shadows, helps you see your function clearly. Today I will trust that in the light I will see forgiveness as forgiveness is. And some ways to apply this function. Let this experience help me learn what forgiveness means. Let me not separate my function of forgiveness from my will. I will not use this for an alien purpose. And that last one, when they wrote this book back in the 60s, they really used that word alien as the idea of something that's not of God. And so, for our purposes, the word egoic really fits the bill. So I'm not going to use this situation for an egoic purpose. I'm going to let God take care of it. That's what we're trying to get out of that. And it's actually that simple today. Today, we really can keep it easy, keep it focused on these 2 concepts. Every version of A Course in Miracles comes back to these 2 core concepts. This is a clear facet of the diamond that A Course in Miracles is. They all focus back to the same lesson. Love and light are who you are at your core. The Holy Spirit delivers your instructions in a voice that comes through somehow in you. Finding a way to hear that voice that might not be a voice, it might just be a push. It might be recognizing that when I get pushed in this direction, this is the consistent sense that I have when that happens. But this is how we clarify the guidance that we're getting. And if that is something that's bothering you, as it had for me for many, many, many years, bring that and talk about it here. Maybe that's a way to get through it. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. Today I am the light of the world, and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Let's take a minute to come back to kind of a normal breathing. Return your connection to the earth and consciously separate yourself so that you can kind of stretch and feel your body and let your body kind of loose, let it hang out a little bit, shake it out a little bit. Get ready for a great day. We've already accomplished what we needed to do for today. This is a key way to start your day and to get things going the right direction. I'm so grateful you're here. We aim to start at about 6:30, And today, 6:37 actually, and today we got through it. And probably for the next 10 days or so, they're going to be nice, short, quick lessons like this that really encompass what we've been learning over the last couple of months. So welcome to the stage. Anybody who feels like sharing, the audio is a little bit better up here. If you feel like joining us up here and you want to share, you're welcome to come bask in the better audio if you feel like it. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us, and I really appreciate you being here. Tell me what you guys think.
Something that I think is worth taking some time to think about is the difference between energy and light. Energy is something that can be measured. It's energy. They have voltage and amps and all kinds of different ways of measuring the movement of energy. Energy always is going from here to there. It's a very busy thing. It's busy all the time. If you want to have light out of that lamp, you have to turn on the energy, let it flow, and it will light up a light bulb. And one of the things that I think is in everything that we read in the Course in Miracles is that we don't have to necessarily figure every little detail out. What we want is the light to take care of it. The light is not measurable. Now, a light bulb, which is all about energy, which produces light, is, you can say, takes 50 watts of energy. And you can get more light or less light depending upon the amount of energy in the bulb. But a light is a light is a light. And it is the real thing that we spend our whole life thinking is just a metaphor. Even in a comic book, it uses the light bulb when an idea comes to the character. But the light is the thing that's inaccessible until we get this gift of salvation. It's the intangible thing to the ego because the ego can't get there. It's the thing that the ego wants to use bulbs as a substitute for the light. The lesson 61, that is the first part of this review, says, I am the light of the world. That's a pretty big statement. If the ego got a hold of that statement, then that ego would just have all kinds of fun with it, pushing around people and saying, I'm smarter than you are, so to speak. I am the world. I've got this whole thing covered, and just come here and listen to me and bow down to me, and I'll give you all the answers you need, and so on and so on and so on. But when the ego is not part of that statement, and it is only God that helps us perceive, it's only the Holy Spirit within us as the messenger that helps us perceive that we are the light of the world. That's where it goes from just an idea and sounds like a boast while it's coming out, but it's not a boast. It's a fact. When you have this salvation that we're being given. So it's It's a fascinating thing to think about because unless we stop long enough to think about it, in this case 15 minutes, we're going to think of it just as energy or some other thing that's just ordinary and common. It can be turned on and off and stuff like that. But light, it's the real thing.
I have something to
Thanks.
say about that. Thank you, Bob. Thank God that you mentioned that part of of the words that we are seeing here. Yesterday I was talking with Estelle about light, in fact. And yes, I am the light of the world. And forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. So, in order for you to see colors, the colors just represent like some kind of barrier to the full light. Full light is white or transparent. Matter is in fact transparent, because if you go in a molecular level, it doesn't have any color, sorry. So in order for us to see colors, we need to have some kind of surface where it can be reflected or absorbed. So if you consider this forgiveness in terms of the light, the concept of light, it means that you don't have, in order for you to see God in everything, you can't have any barriers, any resistance towards the idea that everything is but a thought. What is fastest than light? It's a thought. So you don't get to have any resistance in your thought process in order for you to see the light that you already are. So I am the light of the world is that you are the full love, the full peace that you need to be. And in order for you to shine your light in the world, you need to really have no resistance to anything, no resistance to the people that seem to hurt you, no resistance to the situation in politics, no resistance to the situation in war, and you get to just move all your physical body with this intention of only love. So forgiveness as my function as the light of the world is clearly not having barriers or surfaces to project anything that is not the light itself. So in order for the light move freely in the level of the form, you need to have no resistance. So I am the light of the world, and I do have resistance to it. I found really hard when somebody that I spend my life with, I'm talking about my ex-husband, I'm going to talk clearly. There's some days that I really found his light and I really can clearly communicate with him in such a peaceful way and in such a friendly way that I can see my brother in him. But then there's another moment or another situation where I can't see my brother. And I get so really frustrated about that. And I'm learning. I know that I'm just learning that all of those things probably are myself making some kind of learning in there. But it's hard. Yesterday I had a small, it's a small thing. It doesn't have to be this huge fight or anything. It's just this small act of unwillingness to communicate from love that it always it's so painful for me when you're just trying to communicate something and you receive some kind of mistreatment out of nothing. So that's one of my biggest lessons, because I know that he is as holy as me, and I do love him in a higher perspective. But as I'm no longer willing to to accept this kind of interactions, then when it happens, I had to do like this huge effort in my mind in order for me to see what's the lesson faster and stop feeling this kind of grievance in my heart, because I don't want to feel grievances anymore. And I'm in a much better place than I was before, and I know that he wants the best for me as well, and he was just being asleep probably when he does those kind of acts of unkindness. And so it's hard for me see my brother in him when he behaves like that. But it's maybe because I am still having this resistance to see myself as the light of the world. And that's like the huge lesson that I need to learn, because that gave me a great deal of like fear in other areas, and I don't want to feel fear, and I don't want to be afraid, and I just kept I kept thinking that I just need to send this to God and ask to God and ask the Holy Spirit to give me inspiration on how to let go. But in some points it's like you do it and you do it and you do it again, so you don't seem to find how to release it, fully, completely release it, because it is attached to something else that you truly care about. That it's, for example, in my case, my daughter. So when he behaves like that, I know he doesn't mean that in a deep way, because I know he's really a good person. But when he behaves like that, it starts to give me this kind of feelings like my daughter is going to be in these kind of examples and things like that, and my mind starts to take me to that kind of thoughts. And I know she will be okay, but it's hard. That's the hard part, when you realize that it's something that has to do with you, but you don't know what it is yet. So you dwell on it, and it takes time, but you don't want to take time on that. So it's really one of the hardest things to do. I wanted to share that because really, I mean, the light of the world and forgiveness is having no resistance to it. Loving people no matter what they do.
I would suggest that you take a look at light and think of it as a symbol for truth. And whenever you talk about the light bulb and stuff, you're as consciousness, you're a form of energy. Energy is either potential or kinetic. When it's latent, it's potential, it's available, but it's not necessarily in use. When it's kinetic, it's in movement. So energy is potential or activated, and your consciousness will activate that. Look at the light bulb as light in the filament, and whenever you put your energy, and the light bulb doesn't do anything unless it has energy, as Bob stated. So you're the force for the energy that you wish to flow through that light bulb to light it up. Consider the light bulb, the bulb itself, as what you're going to put around the truth that energy would send out of light. And if we consider the light bulb and we want to put a gold globe over the light bulb or a blue light bulb, what that will do, that will filter the light, which is all the truth, and it will reduce it down as and limit the amount of color coming out of it. Instead of it being white, it'll be gold, it'll be blue, it'll be whatever that bulb is. And our ego, or our set of beliefs, is that bulb that tends to take pure light that would be generated through the truth and start coloring it by our belief systems, whether that be fear or love. And so what the objective is, being the light of the world, we're sending energy through, sending out what could be the truth. But if we want to put a fear-based slant on it, if we want to use the light bulb and color it with our beliefs and obscure the white light, what we'll get is tainted or different shades of colors. And so our objective when we forgive is to help transform that colored light bulb into a clear light bulb so that the truth can emanate from it, as opposed to our egoic projections of lack, limitation, and fear, and that we're a sinner or whatever it might be. So think of yourself as a state of energy, a state of consciousness. It's either potential or kinetic. Feed your energy through that light bulb, and that will light up the world with either truth, or if you choose to shade that with your fear-based beliefs or your projections, what you'll be seeing, or what the world will see, will just be your fears and your beliefs and limitation. Thank you.
Thank you. What a beautiful analogy. Thank you very much, Tom. And Shane, it was, you're gonna talk. It was.
Sure.
Oh no, she left. Now go.
Yeah. So I guess what I wanted to say about being the light is that, for me, there's a couple levels of this light. This it can kind of resonate on inner reasoning and giving life meaning and happiness and productivity, and just seeing yourself as light, the small s, the small self. And it's a pretty amazing place. And there's a place that when you're going from that to inner love, oneness of God, presence and peace, that even though you're feeling blissful and perfect, and it may feel like the most completeness from a spirituality that you might feel, that above that, you've heard me talk about ineffable before, but above that, for me, the light is the idea that the self with a small s is now on the same plane as the self with the big S, meaning, God. And, that represents a point of non-duality, in that there isn't a difference in between me and the spirit. And that the light that I see is that, ineffable sense of the universe, that when you're talking about the formlessness of God and the formlessness of the spirit, that our minds, I believe, come up with light in a way that is really isness, that things just simply are. And it's not acceptance, it's way above acceptance in, the way God would see the world. And, it's beyond allowing. It's like this synchronicity and connection with others. And, because there's no difference in between the self with a small s and a capital S, and between me and God, there's this synchronicity. And, we call it miracles, but what we get is these extraordinary outcomes because of this alignment with inner love and God. and it creates this illuminated mind, which I think is that light bulb you guys were talking about, that, using above your higher mind, above your reason, above your thinking, that, I think it's one of those places where you, it's maybe a little bold to say, get a glimpse of heaven. That, by seeing the light, by seeing the lack of form, that is to me what God would look like, is something that we cannot comprehend, and that the best our minds can do is imagine light. And I've had this personal experience, and I'll share it again, that when I was in Bethlehem looking at a chair that overlooked the Last Supper table, that there was this ineffable sense of light sitting there that my camera captured. And that I also had a feeling when I was there as well that was beyond description. And when I meditate, I think of that light that I saw that day, and it brings me to that ineffable sense. So it's not just seeing light for me, it's realizing my connection to the source, the connection to the light, which brings me to a higher presence of mind, and so high that I'm not even going to try to even present that in words, because of the ineffable sense that this is behind or beyond reason. This is beyond, our source. And thanks.
Thank you. Ineffable is not a word we use a lot, but it's a great one for describing God and trying to understand that mystery part that's confusing and simple at the same time.
If you really want to make an impression on people, I'm not going to say what kind of impression. People love to say the word awesome. It kind of creeped into our vocabulary, spoken English, about 15 years. It's always been around. It's not a new word, but the meaning of it now has taken over so many other words that could describe a feeling more specifically. So people just say, oh man, awesome. So next time I'm going to say, oh man, ineffable. We'll see what they say about that. I'll try it out.
I think that would be confusing.
They'll probably just look at me.
Or think you can't say the F word correctly.
Yeah, but that did occur to me also. So maybe I don't think I'm going to
That
use
was
that.
ineffable. All right, that should probably be where we wrap it up today.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Well, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to leave if they need to. It's about 7:30 in the morning, and the next 10 days or so are going to be review lessons. So today was I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And if it's helpful, you can come back to the meditation we had earlier today to serve you later on in the day. But these lessons are meant to be taken as kind of a pill in the morning and a pill at night, if you will, focusing on I'm the light of the world in our session for the morning, to really focus on that and take that deeply into us so that we can really illuminate the path in front of us, right? So we don't stub our toes. And then tonight, and really, keep it throughout the day, but tonight, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And that just ties these lessons together, and these 20 lessons are going to get tied together very nicely over the next 10 days or so. So have a wonderful day. We'll be here tomorrow at 6:30, and this is all saved and streamed out to the URL at the top of the page, and out to our Facebook group, and I don't know. I got 5 different places, so take your pick. Thank you guys for being here.
Have a great day. Namaste.
Namaste, Tom, and thank you,
Namaste,
everybody.
Tom.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I've heard that there's this saying that Eckhart Tolle had mentioned, which is around describing importance in the world, and it's coming from someone who's, not really seeing the light, really in a shade of darkness, and, doesn't see, what is the point, right? And, in the same lines of your inner light, I think what is also presented is the importance of us in the rest of the world, beyond ego, which is, we're here to allow the divine presence to um, unroll through us and to come through us and to work with other people and, be part of a bigger plan that we don't understand. We don't understand why some weird thing happened in a store, but there's a miracle that will follow that. Don't understand when I'm feeling bad and feeling just all trapped in my ego, that if I could just think for that moment that my importance is to let God unfold in this world, not that I am God, that I think I'm seeing that, the beginning of that divine light, because I can see and feel the divine purpose. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, just wanted to.
Okay, El Guapo, put that mustache back up. It's so funny. I love that. I love that when you have that mustache on. Yes, you look like a Mexican kingpin.
Lee, you're
Or a
not on
henchman.
mute.
You have both mics on, so everybody knew that I was playing with my hair doing my mustache.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, yeah. And somebody was talking, and I don't know who was talking.
Oh, it was me, of course.
I'm sorry.
My
No,
fault.
no problem. I didn't see a mustache, so I'm trying to find the mustache.
Oh, well, it's actually not. I already ended the stream. Adriana's got a braid, and she can hold it up like a mustache.
Oh,
She looks like a Mexican henchman.
that's
Actually, she doesn't look like a Mexican. She looks like a Colombian henchman because she stands out in a crowd of Mexicans. Like, she's a foot taller than the average Mexican.
no. I was just gonna say like that about the light. We have a low, non-visible light, not visible through the naked eye, that we give off. It's infrared. Like it literally happens, right? Radiation. It's radiation, actually.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I dare to call what Sean's experience seems very similar to mine, and I dare to call it heaven on earth because it just feels natural. It feels really natural, like natural underneath all of the facade, underneath all of the illusion. There's such a nature. It's not even something I have to meditate to have anymore. It's just there, and I know it. So I just wanted to add that much. Thank you.
I agree about the heaven on earth, by the way. That's exactly what I was trying to describe.
I thought you might, so I was in my head. I'm like, I'll say it for you, Sean.
Appreciate it, Andy.
You're welcome.
I think the more we travel this room together through through these lessons, the more we would kind of be able to finish each other's sentences. There's something about going through these as a group that is impossible in what we used to have as normal ACIM groups. They would meet every week or every other week, and you can't do every single day with people that way. So this, for me anyway, is definitely delving deeper than any other kind of ACIM experience that I've had before. So I think we've got a kind of a unique thing. I really want to recognize and appreciate you guys for being a part of it.
Unless you get too deep, I'm the evil child that turned Lee's comment about the mustache back into the room by reversing the Bluetooth thing. I did something that only I thought Lee could do, but I did it. and messed everything up. And I had fun doing it and laughing.
It wasn't just your fault. No, I enabled you to mess it up.
No, it was the Bluetooth that I turned on so that my phone would project into the room and get your comment from the laptop to go into the room. I did it.
Little did you know that at the same time you were doing that,
It
I
was
was
fun.
messing it up by joining Zoom and joining the audio on Zoom. So I too did something else. It's both of us together that messed it up. And believe it or not, my system is so haphazard. I can't believe that it actually takes two mistakes to make something like this surface. But how about that?